I was fresh out of college. I graduated with a bachelor's degree in communication and minors in marketing and psychology, 3.8 GPA. You would think that it would have been easy for me to find a job right out of college, right? There was a major problem that severely limited my options. I couldn't drive. No license, no car. I had to commute every day to and from college by bus, since I still lived at home while attending. You may be asking, why didn't I get my license during those years? I guess my time was limited by classes, and my mom, who I was living with, was working when I got home, so she couldn't take me out driving. My dad lives further away, and I would stay with him every other weekend. I drove with him every Sunday morning that I stayed with him to get breakfast, and nothing beyond that. No chances to take the driving test and get my license. Even if I did have my license, I couldn't afford a car to drive. This situation reminds me of the movie Back to the Future Part 3, in which Marty and Doc are stuck in the past. They had everything they needed to work the time machine part of the time-traveling DeLorean. However, the car needed to travel at 88 miles per hour to time travel, and the gas line was damaged earlier, losing all of the gas the DeLorean had. Without that gas, the car couldn't drive at that speed. It was like my situation, limited by something as simple as transportation. After graduating, I tried applying to a couple of places along my bus route, since I could still use my school bus pass for a few more months. One was a small sporting goods store and the other was a Staples. For the former, I was told that they weren't hiring at that location, despite me filling out an application for that location. For Staples, I interviewed and waited weeks to hear back. I decided to call that store and the manager told me that he changed his mind in hiring anybody. So when was I going to get notified? With those options gone, I decided to turn to a couple of places within walking distance of my home. There was a convenience store which was also a gas station and ice cream shop, which I'll refer to as the dairy store. The other place was a Dollar General, which was slightly further away than the dairy store. I remembered applying to the dairy store back when I was 16, but didn't get hired, maybe because I was a minor and couldn't sell alcohol or tobacco, and they might have been looking for someone who could. That past attempt led me to apply to the Dollar General after college. After filling out the online application for the position of sales associate, I waited a couple of days and got a call from the store's manager, a middle-aged woman named Bobby. She asked if I wanted to come to the store for an interview, and I said yes. We agreed what day I would come in and what time. On the day of the interview, I decided to wear a dress shirt and slacks. Yes, I know, unnecessary for a simple retail job at Dollar General, and it should have been alright for me to dress casually. But college convinced me that every job interview needed me to dress business-like. I also took an Uber to the store. I could have walked, but I didn't feel like it at the time. When I arrived, I entered the store and told the cashier at the front that I was there for an interview. She either called Bobby on the phone or went to get her, and Bobby came out to meet me. We shook hands and she led me to the back office. When we got there, we sat down opposite each other and she described the job to me. I remember saying that I was going to get a lot of exercise working there, moving products throughout the store. I don't remember much else about the interview, but I don't think I asked many questions at the end, which I know now is a big no in a job interview because asking questions shows genuine interest in the job. I also may have said that I didn't want to work weekends so I could go to my dad's house like I usually did. If it was a problem, Bobby and I could have talked about it. When the interview was over, Bobby walked with me back to the entrance, telling me that she would review everything and contact me within a few days. I left the store thinking it went well and walked home. A few days later, I decided to log into the account I made to apply for the Dollar General job to see if anything changed with my application status. When I saw the status, it said, "Candidate not interested." What? What did it mean, candidate not interested? I was interested, or I wouldn't have applied and gone to the interview. That must have been some mistake. I then called the store, speaking to the assistant manager. I told her who I was, and before I could mention the candidate not interested error, she asked me if I wanted to come in for a second interview. Okay. We agreed that I would come in the next day to speak with her. I believe I walked to the store for the second interview. I met the assistant manager, whose name I don't remember, but she was also a middle-aged woman who seemed slightly younger than Bobby. The interview went about the same as it did with Bobby. After it was done, she led me out to the entrance and told me that someone there would definitely give me a call the next day. The next day was a Friday, and it was the start of the weekend that I would stay at my dad's house. I waited throughout the day for the call that was promised, while I was at my main house, while I was riding in my dad's car to his house, and while I was in my dad's house. I never got the call. Why would that assistant manager tell me I would get a call the next day, only for me not to get a call? On Saturday, I called that Dollar General, and I believe a cashier picked up the phone. I told her that I was supposed to get a call the previous day from the manager, and I never got it. She told me, "1 moment please," and then nothing. I assumed the cashier told Bobby or some assistant manager that someone on the phone was asking for her about a promised call. I waited for the manager to come on the phone. I waited while it sounded like people were talking in the background, them ignoring the fact that someone was on the phone waiting. I kept waiting and kept checking my phone to see how long I've been waiting. I even yelled hello a few times. After 20 minutes of not speaking to anyone, I hung up and called again. This time there was no answer. I called again, no answer. I called one more time, no answer. I decided to try the corporate number on the website. I think there may have been an option related to jobs, but when I selected that, it only gave me some generic "you can apply online" message. What kinds of unprofessional, immature brats were running that store? Bobby and that assistant manager may have appeared to be middle-aged, but they definitely weren't acting like it. Lying about me not being interested, lying about calling me the next day, and then ignoring me when I called them? If there was some kind of problem, they could have talked to me about it instead of rudely ghosting me. I didn't even get a rejection email. I left a 1-star review on Google for that location, talking about the lying managers and the refusal to talk to you when you called them. It actually got a like. With Dollar General off the table, I applied to that dairy store I talked about earlier. I think for that application, I said that I would work any day and any time. A few days later, I got a call from the manager there, who, coincidentally, was also named Bobby. She told me she received my application and asked me to come in for an interview, which I agreed to. On the day of the interview, I walked over to the dairy store and met the Bobby there, who was also a middle-aged woman. We went to the back office and spoke. I remember her asking if I had graduated from school, and I said yes. She then asked if I was planning to go to college, and I repeated that I graduated, so I guess her earlier question was referring to high school. After the interview was done, she walked me out and told me I would be getting a call within a few days. Hopefully, she was being honest, unlike the managers at the Dollar General. A few days later, I got the call. It was the dairy store Bobby who told me that she was ready to hire me. "Great," I said. She just needed a copy of my identification and my social security number. My mom was able to photocopy them on a piece of paper. She gave me a day to come in and give her those, which also happened to be my first day of work. See? This is how to treat job applicants. The managers at Dollar General really didn't know how to do their jobs in regards to hiring, honesty, and respect. As for the Dollar General, during the years I was working at the dairy store, that Dollar General closed and got torn down. I believe it was to make room for a car dealership. I don't know what became of those managers that interviewed me, but hopefully they did not get another job managing someplace else, or at least learn how to be managers first. I'll share some of my experiences at the dairy store in future videos, including the first day, when I already had to deal with a rude customer. Anyway, comment down below if you ever had to deal with difficulties getting a retail job, especially if it involved immature hiring managers. Thanks for listening and have a nice day.